Hello everyone, bringing you a video today which is a joint unboxing video with two parcels which have arrived containing Canadian kit. I know what the parcels are from who sent them, and I know roughly what I'm getting in these as well, so this isn't a surprise for me, but I thought it would nevertheless be interesting to run through the bits and pieces which have arrived. So without further ado, we'll get into the main part of the video and have a look at what has arrived, the new pieces of Canadian kit to add to the collection. Okay, so as I said, we have two boxes to have a look at here. The first came from the US and contained a pair. Had this open, obviously just got the tape undone. I was expecting this, so I know what's arriving in the two parcels. We have a pair of Canadian battle dress trousers. Box out of the way. Oops. Now, I was interested in the listing of these. They have a dressing pocket, which appears to be attached with the same stitching and everything as the original manufacturer. Focus there. We have the button in there. But these are 50s dated, and I had thought Canada went through a sort of a development of new battle dress after the Second World War, as did Britain. And I thought that by the 50s the dressing pocket had disappeared. Now it's possible it's been added after the fact for theatre, or as a reenacting or something like that. But these are, well, there is a date stamp in here of 1952. Now, whether that's a re-inspection stamp of an older pattern, these are just battle dress trousers serge, I don't know, but they do have the dressing pocket, which is what I was after, and they weren't expensive, so I was pleased with that. I noticed they do have the very pointed pocket flap, almost slightly scalloped on the map pocket, but they will serve my purposes. It's what I purchased them for. As I say, it's possible the pocket's been added after the fact. I'm not sure, but we do have the single pleat dressing pocket on the front there. So that's those. They've arrived. Put them to one side. Bring the other box in here. Again, tape off, but not had this one open, but I do know what's arriving. We have, first of all, a pair of, that's one side, Canadian bush uniform trousers. So there was a set of bush uniform, including the trousers here, which we can see. Missing a button there, but that's not a problem. I have some of these Canadian battle dress buttons. If you ever wondered where the sort of Soldier 95 buttons originate from, Canada used this type of button with a pin in the centre on battle dress, bush uniform post-war, and then used a plastic version initially on cold weather clothing used in Korea. Used a large plastic version of this style with a single bar across the centre, and then latterly that was adapted for Canada's combat uniform, and then it made its way over in Soldier 95 to UK for British clothing as well. So that's where that originates from. The classic double buckle fastening at the waist, as you can see. I was gifted, very kindly gifted, the jacket from this set of uniform by Rob from British Muzzle Loaders a little while ago now. So I've managed to pick up a pair of trousers to go with that. I'd like, ideally, at some point to find the hat and the shirt which goes with the uniform as well. But they'll be very useful going forward, looking at Canadian forces in Korea. And they were worn during the summer months in Korea. So Canadian bush trousers. And then we have some other bits in here, mainly bits of web equipment. So this has something inside, or a couple of bits inside. This is obviously a first issue, 1982 pattern Canteen Carrier, which doesn't have the reinforcing piece around the outside where the cup can rub. But we have some bits inside here. So we have a knife, fork and spoon set. The pouch for that, which also has, I believe, the pocket on the outside is for a clasp knife. But a Velcro pouch for the knife, fork and spoon set. And then, also from the 1982 pattern equipment, the compass pouch, which has been fixed with the gun tape at the bottom here. But these are quite unusual to find, so I was very happy to be able to pick one of those up. So this is in aid of setting up an early set of the 1982 pattern equipment. So the Canteen Carrier there for that set, and these are the little bits and pieces. And then we have an earlier example of the utility pouch. The dates are legible, unfortunately, but might be, I don't know, 1983 perhaps, not sure. But anyway, an earlier example of one of those. The ones I have are the later type with the loops on the side to take grenades. So that's good. Again, a step towards an early set of the equipment. And Introduced a little bit later, I forget, I think there is a date in this somewhere. Not sure, can't remember on the back perhaps. Not sure if the lighting's good enough here. That's 88. So I think this is the respirator carrier, the gas mask carrier. I think these came out a little bit later from what I've been talking to people, but as is usual with these things, I'd be very interested, those who served and were around when 1982 pattern was being issued. When did you first see the nylon respirator haversacks that obviously actually have the fittings to fit onto the belt of the equipment? I certainly have an 82 dated example of the the haversack associated with the 1964 pattern. Some ambiguity as to whether that's actually patterned as part of the equipment or not. I thought it was, but it might not have been. But this design specifically compatible with the 1982 pattern, I'm not sure exactly when this was introduced. Certainly in the initial version of the manual, it's listed as a proposed piece of the equipment. It's not actually listed as an existing piece, unlike all the rest. So there it is. Anyway, the respirator haversack as well. Quite a nice, clean and tidy example to go towards putting together the set of 1982 pattern, which is obviously something we'll talk about in future in a separate video in more detail. So there we are. I hope you found it interesting looking through those. I say useful bits and pieces for future projects. I picked up quite a bit of the 1982 pattern Canadian web equipment a little while ago, but I was missing some of the earlier components to make a sort of mid-80s, sort of 1984, 1985 set of the equipment, and that's really what I wanted to do, was get an early set of the equipment together. So it's nice to have those bits and pieces, and obviously the trousers will be very useful going forward for more of the Korean War videos that I plan to make going forward, the more in that series. If you'd like to see more of that sort of thing, if you'd like to see more in that series and see this kit talked about in more detail, please do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And whether you're newly subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, the little notification button down below, which will of course alert you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you'd like to support the channel, you can. There's both Patreon and PayPal linked down below, and as ever, a huge thank you to everybody who supports the channel using those two methods. It really is very much appreciated, everybody. Thank you very much indeed for your support. If you'd like to follow the channel on social media, you can. There's Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, all linked down below. If you'd like to get in touch but you don't really use social media, there is of course an email address down there as well. But that's everything for this video, so until next time, bye for now.